And I also think Bo Nix is fascinating for the exact same reasons. He's been in college football forever. We know that Bo Nix can definitely be an NFL starter as far as being a game manager goes. I think he's the game manager. And I think Bo Nix could be a starter for a team that's in need of a guy who could be maybe a stopgap option or maybe somebody who could be the future franchise quarterback for a team. I think this is where Denver goes. I think Bo Nix goes to the Denver Broncos, not with a first-round pick, obviously, but with a pick on day 2, and he ends up being their starting quarterback. And the odds stink here. It's plus 200. But he can be a West Coast quarterback who can distribute to the Broncos pass catchers, hand off to the running backs, and certainly use zone reads, and he can run with the ball himself. But I would also sprinkle on the Dallas Cowboys with Bo Nix because he's in the exact same boat as Michael Penix. Older prospect, teams looking to move on from Dak potentially. Either of these quarterbacks can do it, and they're both at 100-1 to land on the Dallas Cowboys. One man's opinion on Bo Nix. EC, your opinion on Bo Nix, please.
Yeah, all right. Well, I want to start with one thing, Dave, because you kind of got me thinking here. You're gonna throw in Dallas as your sleeper team. Call me crazy. You probably going to roll his eyes at this suggestion. There's one left-handed quarterback in the NFL right now, and he plays for the Miami Dolphins. And he's about to ask for $50 million a year next year with a history of concussions and not winning in the playoffs. So if you're the Dolphins, at some point, if somebody offers you something, like let's say Minnesota came along and offered you pick 23 for Tua. Now, I'm not saying they're going to, and I'm not saying that they should. But yeah, you should probably make that deal. And then you're in the market for Michael Penix and Bo Nix, who you can get at least 50-1 on each one of those guys. I think Penix is 50-1. I'd have to double check Bo Nix in that Miami
80-1.
80-1. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I just think, for me, I'm not paying Tua $50 million a year. I understand what you're saying about Dak, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not paying him $50 million a year either. Just saying that. With that said, I think there are 3 teams that I would take a look at with Bo Nix. The Raiders at 5-1. We haven't even talked about them. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are not going to get it done. You could probably get Nix at the top of the second round or trade back in the late first for not giving up a lot and getting him. I think great call with the Saints, Dave, as far as Derek Carr having one more season probably left. I think Nix used to play at Auburn down there in the South. I like Bo Nix. I've seen him twice. Saw him in his last game at the Fiesta Bowl, obviously against Liberty. So let's not talk about a strong defense. But I did see him against Arizona in person in 2022, and he was dynamic. I was not impressed at Auburn, but like Jaden Daniels, got a change of scenery and really benefited from it. My last team that I'm going to throw in here for Bo Nix, all is a lean. How about the Los Angeles Rams? How much longer does Matthew Stafford have here? At 25-1, I think there's value. If the Rams, maybe trade down to the late first round or trade out of the first round, similar to where Green Bay got Jordan Love the other year. Could the Rams be thinking, okay, Stafford's got 1, maybe 2 more years left. We develop Nix behind him. Worth a thought.
I like it. The Rams signed Jimmy Garoppolo, so they don't necessarily need a quarterback for 2024.
Yeah, but he's not your long-term guy. I mean,
no
Jimmy Garoppolo's not
about it. But if Bo Nix isn't your long-term guy either, then what are you drafting him for if you're LA?
I think he is. I think he can be. I think Bo Nix can be I like Bo Nix now. And I know you've studied the film a lot more than I have. I like Bo Nix.
Okay, that's fair. He's been in college a long time. He's made some great plays. When he went to Oregon, his numbers really popped. So Bo Nix is absolutely somebody who could be starting in the NFL. Properoo, where could he be starting in your mind?
Yeah, as far as Bo Nix as a prospect, I'm in lockstep with you here, Dave. I think he is more of a game manager, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If I'm looking at his, potential QB comp, reminds me of Derek Carr, reminds me of Andy Dalton, of a guy that can give you consistent starter level play. That's very appealing to a lot of teams, especially if you have a talented roster, getting a quarterback on a rookie contract who has a high floor and is more of a stable prospect without the potentially huge range of outcomes, that could be very attractive to various teams. But yeah, I think EC hit the nail on the head. I think the Raiders are a really good look at plus 500. I think with the team, the way this roster is being constructed, the other quarterbacks on the roster, looking at Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Bo Nix profile somewhat similarly to them. I think the Raiders are trying to win in the trenches, really build a very strong defense there, which we're seeing under Antonio Pierce. So I think he's a potentially natural fit there. I also see Denver being a potential landing spot as well. Again, we know Sean Payton and this Broncos team desperately need a quarterback. It's unlikely that they possess the draft capital to land one of the top 3 quarterbacks. So it seems very likely it's going to be, in my opinion, either J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix if Denver ends up taking a quarterback in the first round. So yeah, I'd be looking at Denver and Las Vegas as the 2 most likely landing spots.
I want to give you guys a couple of notes that I found during the week, and you can tell me if this means something to you after the break. And in fact, we should probably get into a little bit more of like some general betting strategy. Maybe we should have done that earlier. We're going to do it after the break. But here are my notes on the teams that could use a quarterback besides the obvious. New England needs one. Brissett's on a 1-year deal. Chicago obviously needs one. Washington obviously needs one. Las Vegas can move on from O'Connell or Gardner Minshew by 2025. They could also keep one or both of them as backups. So that's an interesting spot for a rookie quarterback to land. Dak, we already talked about it. He's got a void year after 2024, might not re-sign with the Cowboys. Derek Carr is still going to be on the books for New Orleans in 2025. So I'm not sure that they would go and take a quarterback to replace Derek Carr, give Carr 2024, but they might be able to trade him after 2024 to a team that just needs a stopgap quarterback in 2025. We also know that teams can maneuver the salary cap really well, and New Orleans has been known to do that. The Giants can cut Daniel Jones after 2024, save a ton of cap space if they do it.